Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
This is Season 3, Episode 13 of The Horse Show. Hello, I'm Chris Stafford, and at Wisp Sports, we believe women in sport deserve equal coverage. The Horse Show podcast features exclusive interviews with riders and coaches around the world of equestrian sport. And with just 1 week to go now to the start of the FEI World Equestrian Games in Tryon, North Carolina, we continue our preview of the Games as I chat to Debbie McDonald, who has been an integral part of Team USA Dressage for a number of years, since she stole the limelight with her extraordinary mare Brentina, winning both Team Silver and Bronze at the 2012 and 2016 World Equestrian Games, and of course the Team Bronze at the Athens Olympic Games. But most recently, as well as becoming a much sought-after coach, Debbie has been the Developing Dressage Coach, nurturing new talent and young riders around the country. This year, her role, however, will change as she takes over the position of technical advisor to the team from Robert Dover. And it's a role that she's relishing, and with the upcoming World Equestrian Games, Debbie is confident that the way the horses are going right now, everyone should be frightened, she said, that they are a force to be reckoned with and will be looking to improve on their last podium position, which was the team bronze medal at the Rio Olympic Games. And I chatted to Debbie about the team's current form and how the horses and riders have improved. It's lovely to catch up with you again. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you so much. Good to talk to you again.
Yeah, it's lovely to circle back because a lot has happened to you this year alone, both personally and professionally. And as I mentioned in my introduction, you've gone from being the developing dressage coach to now will be taking over the reins as the technical advisor from Robert Dover. And an exciting period for the team generally, for Team USA and for dressage in this country, Debbie, you know, because having the WEG on our home turf again is an extra challenge, isn't it?
It is, but it's also such an exciting one. I think, you know, we're really going to have an amazing home crowd behind us, which we don't get a chance to feel very often. So I think the riders are really excited about it, and everybody looks in top form. So we're excited, but really ready for it to be here now.
And you, I may say, you know, we should, of course, say happy birthday because you just celebrated another birthday. So I hope you celebrated in style.
Yes, we always try to.
Awesome. Well, you know, when you get to the point in your career when you've done so much and you have so much experience, but now you're moving up to a new responsibility, but you still find that challenge and the excitement of it all something that inspires you and motivates you every day. You're as driven now as ever.
Very true. I mean, I thought that I would be slowing down. I think I'd even mentioned that at some point. And it's not happening, and I really don't want it to happen, which is really even more exciting.
Well, going into the World Equestrian Games, as I said, it's a new challenge because you're going to have the home side behind you, and you hope, you know, a little bit of extra support than what you normally do, traveling in Europe and elsewhere. And with a record with the World Equestrian Games where it's just been defeating the team. I know we won the bronze in Aachen, of course, but the last two WEGs, we were just stolen from the bronze medal, so it wasn't to be. But this time, you've got a really strong team again, and you've gone so well in Europe this season too as well. We shouldn't forget the runner-up place that you got in Aachen, which is a real confidence boost. So at this point in the game, with just 2 weeks to go, Debbie, how are you feeling about the team?
Really excited. I'm very excited. Like I said, I think they're all ready to have it be here. You know, we gave them tough after Europe and ramping it back up right now. And of course, that's half of it is hoping you peak again at the right time, because these poor horses, it's been a very long year for. When you think of the season here in Florida, then over to Europe, and then now back here. So You have to take all that into consideration, and I think our riders manage their horses lovely. They're very thoughtful about their time off, and they, very thoughtful about the amount of time they're on them. And I just think it's inspiring for me to see what great horsemanship we have going on as well.
Well, clearly, the game has been raised considerably in the sport, and the scores as well. Everyone is upping their game, and I think talking to Adrian a few weeks ago, she feels that she's just coming into her best with Salvino, and that there's more to come. And I think that's what's exciting when you know the scores you've got to go for, Debbie, when it comes to getting on that podium.
That's very true. For sure, when you've got a horse that's young still, like in Salvino's case, it's taken him a while to build the strength, and she's so right. I mean, I'm hoping that she has that moment at Tryon, because it's really exciting to see. And I think all of them, actually. I'm excited about that, because even the ones that have been doing this a little bit, I think they're all improving, and I think they're all just getting better. And it's exciting to know that. I think Robert and I were talking about even Verdades today. We're looking at his body and stuff, and we were just saying that, my gosh, he looks better than he's ever looked, and he's going better than he's ever gone. So. And you look at Dublé, and it's the same thing. And I'm thinking, that's so great. And that you have to give so much credit to the riders for, because they really do take care of making sure they can preserve these horses that they have, because they will very well be the last one in the Grand Prix for a little while. So they want to make it last as long as possible.
Well, we should remind everyone that Verdades, of course, is now 16, and I think Dublé is, 15 years up there with him? 14.
Or it's 15. I think 15. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he might be 15.
So when you compare where they are now coming into these games with Rio, for example, and let's talk about how those riders, like Verdades, of course, who has got so much experience now, where would you compare? How would you compare where he was then to where he is now coming into a big championships?
I think she's upped her game significantly. Let's just say that. I think if everything goes like it can, I think you're going to see somebody that is really going to give anybody in the world a run for their money.
And then, of course, Stefan Peters, who has so much experience. You've spent so much time with Stefan over the years on the teams. You've been there, you've seen it all, you've done it all. And he brings so much experience and team camaraderie to the game as well. Of course, you shouldn't forget that, because that's also important, isn't it? And what do you think this partnership is going to bring then with Rosamunda, who's been, you would think she's older than what she is, but she's only 11, I think, isn't she?
11 or 12, yeah. I think she is still young. And again, I think, he gave her a little bit of time off, and I think she's come back even better. And you are so right when it comes to having somebody that it could not be a better teammate in every way, shape, or form. So positive, so, the kind of person you can come and talk to. I mean, he's everything you want to have on a team member. So he just, with the three girls and stuff, and it just makes the team totally complete.
It certainly is, and we should talk a little bit more about Dublé and Casey Periglas, of course, on the team. A special time for her, for any rider really making the team. How would you characterize where she is with this partnership right now, given her development over the last few years, Debbie?
For sure, Casey, I would say, has developed emotionally the best. I mean, she always was a great competitor, but there was always this place in Casey, I think, that she doubted herself. And I think now that isn't even a thought. I think she's in a really, really good place, probably better than I've ever seen her. And that is a partnership that is just a pleasure to watch. It's just, it's beauty. I mean, he loves her, she loves him, and he's a really honest, super horse.
And I'll be back right after this.
Hi, I'm Siri. And I'm Beck from Believe Ranch and Rescue. We are thrilled that Believe Ranch and Rescue has been chosen as the official charity for WISP Sports coverage of the FEI World Equestrian Games. Chris Stafford will be bringing daily coverage of the Games from September 11 to 23 on the Horse Show podcast and on WISP Sports Facebook page live with live video coverage. Be sure to stay tuned for that.
WISP Sports Radio.
And you, of course, train so many of these riders, and I think most of these are Team McDonald, aren't they, one way or the other? I mean, how do you position yourself now with your private coaching, Debbie, and your team responsibilities?
Well, obviously the team will definitely come before anything else, which in some ways works out just fine because I have been fortunate enough to work with a few of the team members. But there's some that, I'm just excited to get into the system and get to know them better than I know them now. And hopefully we can build up a, great relationship with our personal coaches. And I think I'm just looking forward to that. When it comes to anything beyond that, as long as it doesn't interfere with the team stuff, I can work with a few riders. I mean, we have a special young rider or two that both Adrian and I help, and I think that it would be nice to continue to have an eye on them occasionally. But it's certainly, they all know that my priority is to the team right now, and that is going to be how it is. And like I said, I'm super excited for that day. Although it's hard to replace Robert Dover. He's not really replaceable. He's amazing.
We absolutely know that. I mean, the sport will be forever indebted to Robert. But just going back to what you've been doing now for the past few years as the Developing Dressage Coach, you've been producing the young riders and the team riders for the future now. So you've an eye to the talent that's up and coming and that will be on your future teams. That must be a unique position, really, to be in, and a natural progression to then become the technical advisor. So going forward, how will that be structured, Debbie, in terms of after WEG? And you're probably not thinking much beyond WEG, I know, at the moment.
Actually, I am. I'm already thinking of the Pan Ams and 2020s.
Okay. All right, there's vision. A lot of people say to me, well, no, I can't get beyond the, championships next week. And so that's great. So looking down the road then, as you said, Pan Ams and the Olympics, they'll be here before you know it. How do you schedule that? And is this clinics? Is this training sessions? How will you manage your role as technical advisor?
Well, I want to keep in very close touch with the riders and their plans, and making sure that we all feel that we're getting the most out of everything we can. Sending certain combinations to Europe. I think even now that we have Wellington, I think sometimes we think that you just have to stay here at Wellington. But I think there's a few riders that should even think about possibly going to Europe and doing some of those indoor shows, like we used to do when we didn't have Wellington. And it's an amazing experience, especially if you have one that wants to do a World Cup or something and hasn't had that experience. It's great to go to some of those great indoor shows they have over there. So, just trying to make plans for everybody, looking at the ages of the horses and where, realistically they could be thinking they could be ready for, Obviously, if you have one that's 17 or something right now, we really can't be expecting 2020, but you have others that might still be a little green. Well, those are the ones you're going to say, okay, you guys need to fall in line, and we're going to help you get there. And And we just, you hope all the stars line up and it happens.
Are there any names that we should be looking out for the future?
Well, I think when I look around and I think about Sabine Shoot Carey, I think that's a horse for the future as well. I think that one I'm excited about. There's a couple I'm not going to mention because I don't want to jinx anything, but I think that there's a couple even U25 riders, to be honest, that might be popping up here and showing us some really great things. So I'm also, not counting out ages, because I think we've got some beautiful riders. Again, the biggest struggle for us as a country is to get depth in horses. We have the riders, but the horse flesh is what's hard for us to keep gaining. It's just, as you know, the sport's gotten very expensive, and it's not everybody is, well funded or sponsored, so they're doing it, as best they can. So trying again, Robert did such a beautiful job with fundraising to make sure we could get several horses to Europe. That's not really my gig, but I'm really open-minded about listening to ideas, and I have a few of my own, but trying to maybe get creative in different ways. But I think fundraising, unfortunately, could be a factor when I'm thinking about all these horses that might need to be going to Europe.
Absolutely. It is a challenge geographically for us, of course.
Yeah.
But when you consider what this role that you're taking on, and you've watched others do it in the past, Debbie, for years, what do you most value about it? What are you most excited about that position?
I think, I just kind of reflect back to my career and the coach that I had at that time, which was Klaus Balkenhol. And I feel that it's very important to trust someone, and I'm not everybody's coach, but I want to be that everyone trusts, and that we're all looking out in the horse's best interest, and definitely looking out for our future and keeping us on the podium. And I think being honest, just being real, and communication is vital to keeping it going.
And with all this coaching and the travel that's involved, do you get any time to get on a horse yourself these days, Debbie?
Not much, I must say.
Oh.
And it's sad, but when I do, well, if I get the chance to ride one, I want to make sure I can ride it more than one day, so I don't just break myself and get sore and don't have any enjoyment.
Yeah. You want to make it worthwhile.
Exactly. If you want to give me a horse to ride, give it to me for a week or so, and then I'll hand it back to you.
Do you get time for anything else outside of the sport these days? I know we should, if anybody follows what you're doing, will know that you recently became a grandmother, so that, of course, is going to be a highlight, I'm sure, going forward to be, to have that time with your granddaughter. But do you have any other time to spare to call your own these days?
No, what I do plan on doing after WEG is my husband Bob is going to drive my dogs from Florida up to Idaho, and we're going to spend about 3 weeks up there, and I'm going to hike with my dogs and go to the lake, and that will be something I'm really, really looking forward to, because before I know it, we're going to be all encompassed in this new role and the whole show season and everything else that's going to come with that. So I figure that's the only time I'll really have, and I'm definitely going to take it, and it puts me that much closer to my granddaughter.
Yes, and obviously it's going to come around very quickly, and before you know it, as you say, Wedlington will be here, and we'll be looking at the new competition season, and lots of planning, I'm sure, for that, Debbie. But for now, all eyes are on the World Equestrian Games. Any predictions, any of those imposters coming over from Europe that you think might spoil your party?
I honestly think that if our horses can go as well as they're going right now, everybody should be worried. Let's just say that.
I love that. Everybody should be worried. All right. Well, hopefully we can go one better or two better than Aachen a few years ago with the World Equestrian Games, and a medal is yours, Debbie. Yeah, we absolutely would. Well, we'll be there to support you, of course, and maybe we can catch up and have another chat at Tryon, Debbie.
I'd love to. That would be fantastic.
Well, thanks for taking the time to come on the program, and of course, the very, very best of luck. We'll see you there.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
And a reminder that the dates for the FEI World Equestrian Games are September the 11th through the 23rd, and we'll be there to bring you live daily coverage on the Horse Show podcast and also on Facebook Live. So do follow us on social media at Wisp Sports to find out when and where we will be during the 2 weeks of the Games. And if you have any questions or comments about the coverage or anything that we do on the podcast here at Wisp Sports, you can now record your comments using the VoiceBite app. That's voice and then BYTE. Look for the VoiceBite app and use the hashtag Wisp Sports, and you could be played on the air on Wisp Sports Radio. And as always, if you'd like to reach us via email, drop us a line to info@wispsports.com. So this is the last preview episode of The Horse Show. I'll be back with you live from Tryon starting on the 11th of September, bringing you live daily coverage. So do join me then. And if you are in Tryon, do come and say hello. You can leave a message for me in the media centre. We love to meet our listeners. And of course, there's always a chance that you too could be on the programme. So until next week, when I'll be in Tryon, North Carolina, thanks for listening and supporting women in sport everywhere.